If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The NFL offseason always brings surprises, and today was no exception for Browns fans in a move that turned some heads and stirred up conversations across Cleveland. The Browns have officially released defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo. That's right, the veteran pass rusher, once considered a valuable rotational piece on the defensive line, is now a free agent. The decision comes just as Okoronkwo was entering the final season of his 3-year, $19 million contracted deal. That, at the time, was viewed as a strong addition to the Browns' defensive front. And in a league where every roster spot counts and every dollar must be spent wisely, Cleveland decided it was time to pivot to fill part of the roster void. The team re-signed kicker Andre Smith, a younger, lesser-known name but one that's familiar to the Browns' practice squad and special teams coaches. Let's dive into what this move means, who's impacted, and what could come next. Ogbo Okoronkwo, 30 years old, is no stranger to NFL grind and glory. He's a Super Bowl champion with the Rams, and over the course of his career, he's tallied up 130 total tackles and 17.0 sacks across 80 games. We're talking about a guy who's been in the trenches with 3 different teams: Los Angeles, Houston, and most recently, Cleveland. Just last season, he appeared in 16 games and made 5 starts, racking up 23 tackles and 3.0 sacks. Now, that's not earth-shattering production, but it's steady. He's the kind of player who gives your D-line depth, brings leadership to the locker room, and can flash with some heat off the edge when needed. His release definitely raises questions. Was it cap space? Was it a scheme fit issue? Or maybe the Browns are just going younger on defense. Regardless, Ogbo kept it classy, posting a heartfelt love to the land message to fans and teammates. Now let's talk about the dollars and cents, because in the NFL, it always comes back to the money. Ogbo was about to enter the final season of a 3-year deal worth $19 million. That kind of money for a rotational pass rusher makes sense when he's putting up solid numbers. But maybe the Browns thought the value just wasn't there anymore. Remember, defensive ends who don't start consistently and average around 3 sacks a season don't usually get that kind of contract in today's league unless they bring something extra to the table. It could also signal a larger shift in Cleveland's defensive priorities. Maybe they've got a younger guy waiting in the wings. Maybe there's another free agent they're eyeing. But whatever the reason, the Browns saved some cap space, and they're going to reinvest it somewhere else. It's a cold business. And even proven veterans like Okoronkwo aren't immune. As we shift gears, let's talk about the other half of this move, because while Ogbo is out, Andre Smith is back. The 26-year-old kicker has officially been re-signed by the Browns just a couple of weeks after being waived earlier this month. And while this isn't exactly headline-grabbing news, it's a quietly smart move by the Browns front office. Smith might not be a household name yet, but he's got potential. He spent time with the UFL St. Louis Battlehawks earlier this year, and that experience gave him valuable live reps. It's easy to overlook the importance of a reliable backup kicker, but with veteran Dustin Hopkins currently holding down the starting role, Smith gives the team a security blanket. He knows the system, he's been in the building, and if anything happens to Hopkins, Smith can step in without skipping a beat. And let's not forget, Smith has a leg. Back in college at Syracuse, he won the Lou Groza Award, given to the nation's top kicker. That's not something you just brush off. He's got the pedigree. And while he's bounced around a bit since going undrafted, the Browns clearly see enough upside to keep him in the mix. His re-signing might also tell us something about Hopkins' health or future. The team hasn't said anything publicly, but these kinds of moves usually don't happen in a vacuum. Maybe Hopkins is nursing a minor injury, or maybe the team just wants to keep a close eye on their depth chart heading into training camp. Either way, Smith is in the building, and you better believe he's going to make the most of every kick, every snap, every chance to prove he belongs on the 53-man roster. Now, bringing it back to Ogbo for a minute, what's next for him? At 30, he's still got gas in the tank, and he's coming off a season where he stayed relatively healthy. That's going to matter to teams who are looking for a veteran edge rusher who can contribute right away. Don't be surprised if a playoff contender picks him up before training camp. A team like the Cowboys, who love experienced depth on defense. Or maybe the Ravens, who always seem to grab savvy vets on 1-year deals. Ogbo's going to get a call. It's just a matter of where and when. He brings too much experience. Too much locker room value and just enough production to sit on the open market for long. This could end up being a blessing in disguise for him. A fresh start, a new scheme, and possibly a more prominent role. For Browns fans, though, this move might sting a little, not because Ogbo was a superstar, but because he represented something bigger. He was part of a defensive core that fans had grown to trust. He brought effort every week. He wasn't flashy, but he was solid, and sometimes those are the hardest guys to say goodbye to. But this is what roster management looks like in the modern NFL. Teams are always adjusting, always tweaking, always trying to find that perfect balance between youth, talent, and cap space. It's a reminder that every season brings a new story, a new set of players, and new expectations. The Browns are looking ahead, and they're not afraid to make tough decisions to shape this roster into something more competitive. Let's not lose sight of what Cleveland is trying to build here. With Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry at the helm, this team has been methodical. They don't make rash decisions. They're clearly focused on maintaining a strong core while exploring affordable, high-upside talent. The release of Okoronkwo and re-signing of Smith fits that pattern. It's about flexibility. It's about depth, and it's about being prepared for whatever the season throws your way. Remember, this is a team with playoff aspiration. They've built a defense that can compete with anyone. Now they're fine-tuning the edges literally. Don't be surprised if another veteran pass rusher lands in Cleveland in the coming weeks. There's still time, and there are still moves to be made before camp opens up. So what should Browns fans take away from all this? First, trust the process. That phrase gets thrown around a lot, but in Cleveland's case, it holds some truth. The front office has earned some benefit of the doubt with their draft picks, free agency signings, and overall cap management. Second, don't sleep on special teams. Re-signing Smith might seem minor, but kickers win games. Just ask any team that's lost one on a missed field goal. And third, understand that every roster spot is up for grabs. No one is safe unless they produce and stay healthy. Ogbo Okoronkwo found that out the hard way. But that's the nature of the league. 1 minute you're gearing up for a new season in a familiar uniform, the next you're on the open market looking for your next opportunity. And finally, let's give some love to Ogbo on the way out. The man played with heart. He left it all on the field. He brought toughness, leadership, and a veteran presence to a defense that needed it. His time in Cleveland might have come to an end, but his journey in the NFL is far from over. Wherever he lands next, he's going to bring the same energy, the same fight, and the same determination that made him a fan favorite in the Dawg Pound. And as for Smith, his story is just beginning. With a strong leg and a second chance, he's got everything to prove and nothing to lose. Stay tuned. Browns fans, the offseason drama is far from over, and training camp is just around the corner. Buckle up. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Browns fans, buckle up, because there's a storm brewing in Cleveland, and it weighs a monstrous 140 kilograms. That's right, the Dawg Pound might be getting even more terrifying. And the name on everyone's lips right now, SEBASTIAN Day. Rumor has it, the Cleveland Browns are making moves behind the scenes, and all signs are pointing toward a deal that could completely reshape their defensive identity. We're talking about a player who brings not just size, but tenacity, presence, and leadership to the trenches. A man-mountain with the force of a freight train, ready to claw gaps, eat double teams, and bully offensive lines like it's recess at school. Day might just be the missing piece in Jim Schwartz's chessboard of destruction. Now, let's not pretend the Browns were exactly weak on defense last season, with Myles Garrett wreaking havoc off the edge and a secondary that forced quarterbacks into all kinds of bad decisions. Cleveland already had a unit that struck fear into the hearts of offensive coordinators. But if there was one area that needed reinforcements, one vulnerability that could be exploited in the postseason, it was the interior of that defensive line. And guess what? SEBASTIAN Day is built exactly for that role, a run-stopping specialist who thrives in chaotic scrimmages and isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. You want a wall in the middle of the field? The Browns might have just installed a fortress. Word around the league is that this move was months in the making. Day, who spent time with the Rams and Chargers, was already on the Browns' radar during last year's free agency window, but with timing, cap space, and roster needs always in flux, the stars never quite aligned. Until now, rumors began swirling after he was spotted having dinner with Browns front office execs in downtown Cleveland. And let's just say, where there's smoke, there's often fire. And at 140 kilos, this isn't just a campfire. This is a five-alarm defensive inferno on the verge of erupting. If you've followed Joseph Day's career, you know he brings more than just bulk. He's a student of the game, a leader in the locker room, and the kind of high-motor player that never quits on a play. His technique, polished, his instincts, razor-sharp, and his presence on the field, intimidating. The Browns front office knows the value of character as much as raw power. And Joseph Day checks every box. He's not just another big guy to plug the middle. He's a culture fit, a warrior in cleats, and someone who understands what it takes to win in the trenches of the AFC North. But let's be real, this move wouldn't just be about stopping the run. It's about domination. It's about imposing your will. It's about making sure that when you face Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or whoever the Steelers roll out under center, they feel every inch of pain trying to move the ball up the gut. Joseph Day commands attention, plain and simple, double team him and you leave Garrett one-on-one, leave him solo. And he's blowing up your running back 3 yards behind the line. It's pick your poison. And neither choice ends well for opposing offenses. What's also interesting is the timing, with training camp looming and preseason preparations kicking into full swing. This move could be the final tweak to an already ferocious defense. Think about it. Myles Garrett off the edge, Darius Smith providing pressure, and now SEBASTIAN Joseph Day plugging the gaps. That's a nightmare package for any offensive coordinator. And it sends a clear message. The Browns aren't just here to compete. They're here to punish. They want to be the most feared unit in the league. And Joseph Day might just be the hammer they needed to complete their arsenal. Insiders have hinted that this isn't just a short-term play either. The Browns are reportedly interested in locking Joseph Day into a multi-year deal, signaling that they see him as a core piece of their defensive foundation moving forward. This isn't a rental. This is a statement, a commitment to building a team that can stand toe-to-toe with the bullies of the AFC and punch right back. And for Joseph Day, it's a chance to reestablish himself as one of the premier nose tackles in football. After a stretch of ups and downs with the Chargers, of course, nothing is official yet. As of now, we're still in the realm of rumor, whispers, and airport sightings, but you know how these things go. The NFL rumor mill doesn't churn this loud without something cooking. Whether it's a verbal agreement waiting on pen and paper, or a strategic leak to test fan reactions, the momentum feels very real. And if the Browns do pull the trigger, expect the announcement to drop fast and hit even harder, just like Joseph Day's bull rush on third dash and dash short dot for Cleveland. This could be more than just a roster upgrade. It's a cultural moment, a symbol of the franchise's new identity, rugged, aggressive, unrelenting. Gone are the days of being the league's punchline. With each move like this, the Browns carve out their new legacy. One where the defense isn't just good, it's brutal. One where quarterbacks dread Sunday trips to Ohio, and Joseph Day, he could be the face of that fear. Not with flashy stats or highlight reel sacks, but with bruises, blown up plays, and sheer, immovable force. So keep your eyes peeled. Browns Nation, the trench war is heating up. And Cleveland might have just landed their anchor, whether the ink is dry or still drying. This move, this possible move, feels like the kind that changes the tone of a season. Joseph Day in orange and brown, that's not just exciting. That's terrifying. For everyone on the other side of the ball, let's just say this, if it happens, don't be surprised when the Dawg Pound starts barking a little louder. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan. Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!